Hello and welcome to Villain Squad. It's an interstitial podcast all about the villains who ruin the day of your players in Dungeons and Dragons. This is a podcast all about villains and baddies and what they do, where they come from, and what they get up to. I am your host, Daniel, and I'm joined by my ever-present co-host, Mikey.
I am
come on, man, we didn't. That's too scary. I don't like it.
I am here to ruin your day.
Oh, this is scary. I don't like
Prepare
this.
yourself for some dastardly
I'm not ready.
actions by me, the villain, played by Mikey DC. How's it going, everybody? How are we doing? Sorry, that was just a bit of character workshopping. I think
very convincing. Yeah, I was a little frightened, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I feel it. I'm not really getting a lot of jobs from my my actors, kind of like my reel that I got. So I'm hoping to kind of throw it into Creature Club a bit. So
Absolutely.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So yeah, might as well use this platform. You know.
Yeah, I mean, may as well do something.
Might as well do something with this.
We're losing money.
Every single episode of Creature Club costs like thousands of euro. So
thousands of dollars, yeah. We have to license every time we say D&D. We have to pay Chris and Mike Merles.
Yeah,
fucking $100 each.
Chris and Mike Merles.
Chris, who I believe made the fighter. I think he invented the fighter.
Yeah.
And Mike Merles, who invented all the other classes, which is why they're not good.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
The fighter is the best, but
I mean, yeah. Everyone knows that, but I don't need to remind people. It's just hurt. It's just it's not fair.
Can we do a cunning action one day where I just talk about how good the fighter is?
I mean, like, absolutely. That would be fantastic if we were just like, this is the reason the fighter is the best class. All the martial classes are the best.
Isn't there like in Tash, we were talking about the other day on Tasha's in the new book, there's like build ideas for fighters, because I guess people are like, the fighters all the same. Like, no, they don't have to all be the same. Here's some different builds for you for different fighters. And I've been saying that since day one. I've been
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, like, fighters are limited primarily by, well, I mean, I was going to say realistically primarily by the rule set, but secondarily by your imagination.
Absolutely.
I think as DMs, dungeon masters, what you owe the fighters in a map is like something they can do that like they're kind of good at. Like, I always think the classic example is like the chandelier hanging from the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
It's like something the fighter can like attack and like cut the rope and it falls on a group of people, or that kind of thing. I always think of them as having like the best battle IQ, like Vegeta. You know?
Yeah. Well, actually, Vegeta is very. He has a good battle IQ, but he's very much like let me just throw a really powerful blast at this guy.
Yes,
all of his moves.
That's true.
If you notice, all of his moves are just a big key blast.
Big
bang
blast.
attack.
He doesn't have any.
This is a big key ball.
Yeah.
Final flash is just a really big blast. He's just power.
Yeah.
But also
Gallic gun is just a big beam.
That's true. But Piccolo did say once, like, Vegeta's a battle genius.
Yes.
Like, really?
Is he did. Yeah. Yeah. There's the bit where Piccolo explains to the audience that Vegeta has a really high battle IQ.
Yes.
Which I always think is like kind of unfair, because it's like, if he really did, you wouldn't need to tell us. Like, we'd know because of the way the story is written.
Like, because that's
like
what
it would be like self-evident.
Okay, actually, I shouldn't go too much into this, but that was with the Super Saiyan Form 2, where he gets muscly, and then Trunks is like, I can get stronger than my dad. Like, actually, you could, but you're still slower now because your muscles are too big. So
your muscles are getting your way.
Yeah, and that's why he's just like, yeah, Vegeta knew that, but he's actually just smarter than you, because
everyone in Dragon Ball is a fighter, and they all feel different.
Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. Actually, you know what? It could be very.
Wait a minute. Why aren't we talking about it?
We're doing a Creature Club right now. I just forgot that it's recording, so.
I've once again misled you.
We're doing Villain Squad today, guys, as Daniel said.
Yes.
Where these shows, we like to kind of we like to steer away from the monstrous characters. Well, sometimes we touch upon them, but we kind of want to go with more of the villainous characters that are can kind of parallel your player characters. Ones that aren't like, they aren't like, it's a dragon, or it's a a spider,
beholder, or a Medusa, or a spider, a really big, dangerous-looking spider.
I host Creature Club, and all I can think there was a big spider. That was the only monster I
mean,
thought
a
about.
big spider's a fucking dangerous villain, like, you know?
True, yeah.
Like, I mean, small spiders in this world are dangerous. Imagine how dangerous a huge spider would be.
I know. Very scary stuff. So how about you guys, you send your players a big spider and see what happens. You know? Try it today.
Imagine that. The whole campaign is just fighting different sizes of spider.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, we are doing Villain Squad. And today we're going to do one that we actually mentioned in a previous podcast, I'm pretty sure. I think we did. Did we mention it before?
I have a suspicion we did.
Yes.
I have a suspicion we did, yeah.
If we didn't, we're doing Bad Company, as you can probably see by the name of this podcast. Dan, who do we think Bad Company is going to be? Who is Bad Company?
Bad Company is the name of a hit song by the Beatles.
It's actually by Bad Company. From the album Bad Company, I think. Because there's sometimes you can get like you get this like the three. You get an artist that have a song named after them and an album named after them. Black Sabbath has a song called Black Sabbath from their first album, Black Sabbath. And that's the only one I know. But there is Living in a Box. That song, you know that song, Living in a Box.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was by people called Living in a Box.
Yeah, the band's called Living in a Box, and I think the album is called Living in a Box. So,
oh wow.
And there's more, but it's a great thing. But anyway, Bad Company is one of those bands where they're called Bad Company. They have a song called Bad Company, and it's from the album Bad Company. But anyway, that's not really what we're talking about here. We basically came up with the name Bad Company, and we were like, that would be a great villain squad idea if they're like an evil mercenary group. So might as well just give that a go today. Might as well make an evil mercenary group of fun characters for the players to fight against, you know?
Absolutely. I think we should start by saying that you don't have to necessarily use the name Bad Company because it might not suit.
Yes, absolutely.
But you should probably make the song Bad Company their theme.
Yes.
I think that's like a good compromise.
Just play it whenever they show up, you know?
or before they show up so that, you know, you can start preempting your players.
Yeah. Have it play in the bar when your players are just hanging out talking about stuff, and then Bad Company's just on the jukebox in the background.
What setting is this? The jukeboxes?
Have it play have Foo Fighters Walk play in the bar when they're talking about something. And then you're like, how come Foo Fighters walks in this movie? Like, I don't know, because Thor's learning to walk again. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just in, all right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
It was one of their best-selling singles. It's going to be in the movie. It's like, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the movie. It's in there. It's too late.
Apparently, that song came out like weeks before they finished filming the movie, and they just put it in.
Oh, really?
Because they're like, I just like the song.
Hell.
It's a pretty good song. It's a good song. We're talking shite here.
There's only one good Thor movie anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So. All right, let's actually. Sorry, we have a job. We're professionals, Mikey.
We do, yeah.
So a bad company is a mercenary company that is angled against your party. For me, the natural sort of result of preamble to that would be that the party have upset someone enough that they've sent mercenaries after them.
Yeah.
Which supposes that the party have already been on adventures of some kind. But it can be more personal than that. You can tap into characters from your players' backstories and populate the upper ranks of the mercenary company with them if that suits the game better. Or you can have the mercenary company be kind of tangentially involved and maybe do something to undermine the party, whether deliberate or accidental, and then kind of align themselves as villains as a result of that.
I do like the idea of like messing with people so much, and then you're like, we're gonna send out Bad Company to you. Like, who's Bad Company? Like, they're the best of the best, but they're rogues that we send out whenever people really piss us off. And also, actually, I think that if you want to go with it, it make a good idea for a rival party, which we've talked about before, where you could actually
rival parties are good.
Yeah, where you can actually there'll be a band of mercenaries, but because they're mercenaries, they can show up anytime. Like any high authority that has a lot of money that you
any
would
job,
piss off, they can be there. So they can be like, Bad Company, you're here as well? Like, how can you keep showing up? Like, I don't know. Like, we keep getting money, and also we hate you, so, like, this is a good job.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of money, as it turns out, in hunting you.
Yes. And that'll be pretty fun if you want to do, like a Star Wolf to your Star Fox. So.
Oh, God. I love Star Wolf, man.
But just, like, what makes them cool is that, like, they can be the best of what they do, and, like, whoever has the money like can hire them, basically, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually I have decided that we're going to steal Starwolf. I'm going to go Google Starwolf. What do you know about Starwolf? It's obviously led by the wolf.
It's led by Starwolf, and also one of the other guys is he used to be in Star Fox, and then he betrayed and killed Star Fox's father, I think.
Holy shit!
Yeah, like one of the characters, I think, like a pig or something. He used to be in Star Fox, and then he betrayed.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So there's a bit of story there. So we can just do that. That'll be fun.
I love that. That's great.
And that's all I know. I think everyone else is just a goon.
I think you're right. I'm gonna check. I have a suspicion. Was it Pigma Dengar or Andrew Oinkany?
Wait, there's 2 pigs. How many pigs is there? Hold on. Starwolf. We're both rooting Starwolf here, right?
We have to look into Starwolf.
All right, going on to our Wikipedia.
Pigma Dengar was once a member of the legendary Star Fox team, but he betrayed his teammates James McLeod and Peppy Hare to the evil mad scientist Andros.
Wow.
Oh, there you go.
Wolf O'Donnell is his name? Irish descent there. Wow.
There you go. Maybe he was chased out by St. Patrick.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's why he's so mad. He's got chased all the way into fucking space.
How come we're looking at Starwolf here? What are we hoping to get from this?
Sorry, so we're hoping to get Starwolf just the different energies of the baddies. Oh, yeah. But actually, as it turns out, none of them have character except for Starwolf and I guess the pig.
Yeah. Well, there's by look at this picture I have here, there's Leon, and then there's Panther. But actually, here's a cool thing about it. I'm just looking at this picture on the Wikipedia right here, and I'm just gonna go with this picture. I don't think I'm supposed to look into this as much as I am here, but they have like prices underneath them.
Oh my god, they do.
And like that's pretty cool. Where maybe like no matter how
you
have to pay for each head, but they're all good. But like if you want them all, you gotta really break the bank there. So maybe you can like use that as like a oh no, the leaders here shit. They must really want us dead, you know?
Oh right, yeah. I was thinking in terms of like the notion that that bad company are like criminals, like they're wanted.
That'll be cool too, yeah.
But no one can go after them because they're, the most dangerous of their kind.
Yeah, like because if there are criminals, that means that they're like, oh, they're criminals, and they're just like, they're a bad company. They're just bad dudes. But we really want these guys dead, so we're going to send the bad dudes at them, like because we know they get the job. We don't want to work with them that much, but it's like a last resort kind of thing,
It's like Mikey, it's like in Shrek 2.
All right, let's hear it.
In Shrek 2, when the king goes to the bar on the bad side of town, and he hires Puss in Boots to kill Shrek,
right?
Because remember, the bar is like a run-down place and it's full of criminals. And the implication, because Puss in Boots is in the back room, is that because he's like an assassin for hire, what he's doing is illegal.
Wow.
But even despite that, the king, the supposed authority of this place, is using tax money, Mikey, to pay for an assassination attempt.
Wow. That's that's I don't want to go into that there, but also you could probably use that. You can use Shrek 2 as inspiration for your D&D game.
So I think that Bad Company I think we said that they were at one stage an actual mercenary company.
Yes.
Sorry, an actual military company.
Military company, okay.
From like an existing state of some kind. And I think maybe that state devolved or was destroyed or something happened. And basically this army was left without like an authority in charge of them.
Yeah.
So they took charge of themselves and became like a roving company of mercenaries, and eventually throughout like basically years of deeds one way or the other, they've become like renowned and infamous.
Right. Think an actual real life Bad Company is like a military squad made up of like people from other squads who the other guys didn't want to deal with too much, They just kind of threw them all into like a problem squad,
right.
Maybe. But they're like, I guess they're
yeah.
I don't know. I might have heard that somewhere, but if not, that's a cool idea as well. Maybe
I really like that.
Maybe they're because you can have like different people, but they can just like throw them on here, but they work well together.
That's a really cool idea, because what you could actually do then with the Bad Company is you can establish like multiple. So like you can establish like, okay, let's give the bad company a name, because we can keep calling them bad company, but I think we need to give them like, you know, a more canon friendly name for a fantasy setting. How do you feel about the Swordbreakers?
Swordbreakers is pretty cool. I like that.
They began their sort of story as an actual legitimate military company, went rogue in some capacity. The exact nature of that is kind of maybe ambiguous, but sorry, I'm reading the quote from Wolf O'Donnell on the Starwolf page on our Wikipedia.
That is meaty. That's a paragraph there.
And it just says, "Good people of the Lilith system, my name is Wolf O'Donnell. I'm the leader of the Starwolf Squadron. We know that many of you have a somewhat negative reputation of us." It's such a fucking, it's so, it's like, imagine, I have a somewhat negative reputation, like opinion of like cauliflower, you know? It's like, aren't these people like isn't there like 300, like isn't there $30,000 on Wolf O'Donnell's head?
Yeah.
Like that's not a somewhat negative. Like I wouldn't pay $30,000 for someone to kill a bit of cauliflower, you know? Like
it's not like you talk in the kitchen about, what do you think of Wolf? Like, it's all right. Like I don't really get him, you know?
Yeah, I don't really get him. Like I'm not going to invite him next year unless I have to.
Yeah.
But like it's fine.
Usually it's like, no, he betrayed the fucking like military in this world. Yeah, that's not like a somewhat negative opinion, you know, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my point was that the Swordbreakers like became a mercenary organization and have now kind of become like Starwolf, a mercenary organization which people have maybe a somewhat negative opinion of. But what I was going to say was the thing you pointed out about the idea of like a bad company being you know, different like kind of problem people from different organizations or different squads.
Yeah.
The idea that the Swordbreakers kind of accrue more people over time, as like, you know, a lieutenant in another army like goes off the books and does something and ends up like being reprimanded. They like leave and join the bad company.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it becomes this like rogue gallery of like different people, different military people from all these different like states within your world.
Very much like maybe like a big boss situation where they're like, we have soldiers and we need a country for soldiers. I don't know, like not a country, but just like we need a place for these soldiers to live and be together, you know.
They're like a big roving camp. Or they've like, or actually in fairness, I think actually more appropriate to the world of D&D is like they've just made home in some like abandoned castle somewhere, or like, you know, like some old, like the lair of some creature that they slew, and like now it's theirs, like, and they use it instead. I like that idea. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what's an interesting thing for them to have seized. Like obviously there's like, you know, a fortress or a castle of some kind, the lair of a creature. But actually what might be very interesting and give them like a unique power in the world would be if they had overthrown a clan of, I think it's storm giants.
Okay, yeah.
Who have flying castles.
A flying castle, yeah, that's very cool. So they can be anywhere really. And
so they have this like, you know, like this sort of base of operations. And again, a bit like Metal Gear, like the idea of like they have this sort of this massive military organization, but like they're not aligned with any nation.
Yeah.
Which immediately makes them a huge problem for any ruler who wants to keep their stability in their country.
Yeah, it's not in a static location either, so they can't just like find them that easy. They can kind of go around wherever they want.
Yeah, and it's like conventional defenses are worthless because like you build a big wall and they fly over it and you've wasted your time. So like there might even be like an element of like the various powers that be of the world, maybe like pay a little bit of money towards bad company just to keep them in their good books, you know, like just a little donation, like a shipment of swords and armor, bit of cash, you know, a quiet word, and they don't come this way, and that's it.
Yeah. Very cool. And I can picture them like if they are doing a big job where they storm a like a fort or something, they just like send in the castle and they just feather fall out of the castle, and then they Which I remember doing in because I will hear from him. I remember doing in Stephen Brady, friend of the podcast game. At the end of it, he was doing Rise of Tiamat, and the final battle was happening, and we were on Storm Giant's flying castle, and we basically did a go 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 go. We just jumped out of the flying castle, Featherfall. It was very cool, but I just like that
like
image.
a power trooper extraction, basically.
Yeah, it's very cool. So they can do that. They can just like instead of breaking through a wall, they can just go from the top, just fall in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I like the idea of the sword breakers like not being like kind of politically savvy and very like martially competent, but actually not having a keen understanding of like magic and the arcane, and like a lot of what they have is just stuff they've taken.
Yeah.
So like the Sky Fortress they took from giants, and I like the idea that maybe it has like it has like a teleport circle in it or something like that, so they can like transport to other locations. Like they've got a really powerful like logistic element, but again, they probably don't understand it that well. It's just that they have it. Like they can just use something they have. And I think I like that angle for them, because it gives them like a limitation the party can take advantage of. And it's like, and maybe like, direct magic, they're like, oh, we have kind of an understanding of this, but like, you do stuff like scry on them ahead of time to get an idea of what they're doing. And like, they don't have like defenses against that because they don't think that way or whatever. But yeah, I think I like that idea. So the sword breakers, at some stage after losing their sort of parent country or state, they became a rogue military organization. They seized a flying fortress from cloud giants. I think that's the kind of thing that people should be associated with. I think maybe the exact nature of how the company stole it or captured it is kind of unimportant, and maybe just like I don't know how they did it, but like the idea of like this character, like the sword bearer, the sword bearer panther or whatever. Sorry, it's just
I'm looking. I have this picture in front of me as well, and talking. Every time we're talking about them, I'm just looking at Wolf's smug face, and I'm just like, yeah.
I know it's actually really good for a villain. It's properly.
It's very good.
But yeah. So like, I like the idea of like that sort of capture, and that sort of siege and capture of a location is like associated with like some names, and like that sort of establishes some reputation for how people perceive the bad company.
Dan, do you have any ideas for adventure ideas for the bad company or the sword breakers? Because we want to have some good ideas for them being the focus of an adventure.
So I think there's a couple of like, to be honest, I've got a bunch of ideas. So I think the most straightforward one is not even necessarily that the party are directly so sorry. Now these aren't ideas for this. We're talking about specific adventures for the bad company. Yeah. Okay, I have in that case I have exactly one adventure idea that uses specifically the bad company.
Okay.
The party are mid-level adventurers who were previously members of the bad company.
Ooh.
And they've gotten out, they've stolen something, and they are trying to get away.
Wow. Stolen what? What kind of stuff would they steal?
That's the question. I'm trying to figure out now what is like, what's the thing that they could steal that would have the bad company come after them?
Maybe it's another, like, because they stole a flying castle. Maybe they stole another magical artifact that has been a tactical advantage for them.
Oh, that's a nice idea.
As previous bad company, just like, if we steal this is like, this can be the end of them. So I think this will be a severe weakness if they don't have this certain item, this MacGuffin.
Yes.
But maybe it's just a really powerful magic item. Maybe it can be anything. Just go through. Go through the magic items list. It could be one of the powerful versions of that.
I'm thinking like I think actually even the item they steal depends on what you want to do with the bad company, because like you can either use the like a really basic example, something totally mundane that's still valuable is battle plans.
Oh yeah.
The bad company are planning an assault of a major fortress, and the party have escaped. They have stolen plans to the assault, and they are hoping that they can use them to effectively seek amnesty from this organization that is about to be attacked.
Right.
So I like that because it's not magic. It doesn't rely on any kind of like magical special thing. It's just something that, from a totally pragmatic point of view, a military wouldn't want getting out. And again, to return to that notion of like the bad company have this great intersection of like super cool magical powers and also barely any understanding of them, and they don't care. They have the utter pragmatism of a military group. So like the idea that you've stolen battle plans, and so their concern is just stopping you before you reach them.
Yeah.
And like how they're going to do that. And so that kind of creates like an immediate short-term adventure where, if you get to this group, you probably have to do a siege of some kind or a battle with the bad company. But after that, they might not care about you anymore. Like maybe they'll go after you for revenge, but they might also just be like, it's not actually worth the manpower,
Yeah. I think, and also like once you have given over the bad company battle plans, that's like, oh, pretty much like I'm talking kind of gamey wise here, but once you've given them to the people who it benefits, it's like, oh, now the final battle is happening where we're going to use these against them. So you kind of like know like, oh, once I give these over, the fight's going to happen. But before that, it's like running away from them and doing
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
D&D stuff, I guess,
And so, yeah, so like I'm thinking in terms of like a cross country adventure
Yeah.
where it's like, like you have to, there's some obvious reason that you have to get out now. It's like something as simple as the flying castle is about to go into a valley, and if we get out now, it won't be able to go above us. So
Yeah.
it will never have the advantage of height, and that's really valuable. Or there's a cave system in the mountains below us that I found another map for, or like before I joined the bad company, I was a miner, or my parents were like related to this area, and so I know the caves, and we can use them to get away.
Yeah.
And we have that initial escape, and then it's just a case of like we've gotten through the mountains, and now we have to cross the country to reach the city.
Yeah.
And the whole time, the bad company is like trying to stop us. And so like that could be cool, like this very immediate sense of like you're just constantly like under attack basically.
Yeah.
And you have to like be careful about like what you do, who you associate with, like who you tell what, that kind of thing. And then again, like that's just for like battle plans, but you can upgrade it to it's a magical item of some kind, and you can then kind of, depending on what you want, you can say that it's like it's a magical item and a specific member of the company wants it back and they're coming after you.
Yeah.
And like so like maybe it's not like the whole company, but it's like one of the major leaders, one of the major powers within the company. So like then that person is coming after you, or you take something that's crucial to the organization and it comes after you. And I think the level of what you take depends on maybe what kind of adventure you want to run, right? Because like the idea of like we've taken one of the sources of the bad company's power and we're running is like very different to we've taken battle plans, because it's like if you've taken say let's say it's a crystal ball or something, but it has like other powers, like it's a crystal ball of mind reading, so like it can perceive events happening miles away, and it can also read the thoughts of everybody there, which is pretty valuable from a military intelligence point of view. And so like it's like, okay, we have this, they've actually been using it for ages, it's really important to their plans, and now they're after us because we have it. It's almost a question of like, with this very powerful artifact, can you trust it to another power, or are you trying to destroy it, to just undermine the bad company? And if so, like once you destroy it, how are you going to destroy them? Because you're just between 3 and 5 jerks.
Yeah.
And like your capacity to destroy things is kind of limited to like a medium-sized kitchen most of the time. So like what's your plan in terms of bringing down like this massive military organization with a private base?
Yeah.
And that's kind of I think that's a very long form campaign where you probably have to, you might even have a cool, like a cool like reversal where the party have to create like their own mercenary company to like oppose bad company, like their own group of soldiers, and then go against them. which could be a lot of fun.
Fight in the air, you know, hop on your flying mounts and then just take the fight to the skies.
You have to make your own XOF.
You gotta just do Star Fox up there.
Yeah.
And then shite. I was gonna say shoot, but I said shite instead. Never mind. Forget about it.
Shite.
Just shite it all.
It's fucking shite. What are we talking about?
Do you want to do? Because I with the sword breakers with Bad Company, you can do whatever you want with them. But Villain Squad, we like to make a Villain Squad as well. We kind of like to make the guys itself. And do we have any specific ideas for them, or do you want to do like, you know, crazy jazz, anything goes, kind of random tables element, and just kind of use that as a jump us as like a jumping off point? Sorry,
a jump us off point.
A jump us off point.
You gotta bump us off. I like the idea of tables, but I think it should probably be like some of it is set in stone. I think the tables would be good for like. I almost feel like it should be a case of like the command structure is set, and then the tables are for like you run into a squadron from the Bad Company. And to return to that idea of like a Bad Company is the problem people of other organizations being sent away.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that could be really interesting. What if the Bad Company like recruits from prisons? Like,
oh yeah,
they show up and they say, "We'll buy your prisoners off you."
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you've got 40 people in a prison. Like, we'll buy them off you for whatever, like however much money. And like that's where they get like a load of recruits and stuff like that. And probably like a bunch of them wash out and they just, you know, toss them overboard, or they just maybe they don't kill them. Like they just like, you know, they basically say like, all right, get off. Like you're no good to us.
Yeah, we've already bought you, but you're no good to us. So just whatever, go back into the world, I guess. Like just
like we bought your freedom with the expectation that you'd be a good soldier, but you're no good to us and we don't care. But like I don't know, like that idea is kind of interesting. Like just like that they've got this kind of constant pool of like malcontents filling up their ranks.
Yeah.
That's I like that idea. But yeah, so I think in terms of like random tables, that would suit like here's a group of Bad Company mercenaries. Who's their team lead? You know, who's their team lead, and the rest of them are like maybe just goons.
Yeah.
Or like who are the team lead and the lieutenant, or the team lead and the like medic or something like that. Like, you know, who are the two interesting people, and the rest of them are just like goons.
Yeah. I think because with this kind of Villain Squad, you can kind of really have whatever you want, as long as like if we're going with what we're talking about anyway, if you're going with our idea, having them a bit more military savvy than like arcane savvy. So the leader, the guy who runs the entire shop, the entire mercenary company, you want him to be a really good military mind. Maybe like he used to be someone from like, you know, like used to be a really higher up person,
like a general, like a favored general or something.
Yeah,
like a proper.
And maybe he's he did something wrong and just got sent on to this. Maybe he maybe did something a little bit wrong, and then like whatever, the king of the country was like, okay, listen, you get this company, and we don't want to get rid of you because you're still valuable as a military leader, so you get to run this company, but like so you're on your own basically. Or they just like, whatever, I don't care about all this anymore and I just want to deal with it on my own. It can be anything like that, but they used to be a very like
I'm thinking like Napoleon or Hannibal, like like a proper like, this person is a genius. Like their ability to strategize in a battle between two armies is almost unmatched. And like if they are able to apply their resources against you properly, you've probably already lost and you need a new plan. I like that a lot. Like, I like the idea of like just a proper, like very, very straightforward, by the book, like, you know, just knows how to run a tight ship and just deploys, like, you know, and is able to like, you know, speculate, plan ahead and telescope and like figure out like, okay, well, if I deploy my troops like this, I've got these advantages, they've got these advantages. They'll probably do these things and I'll do this to stop them. And then I'll ignore that because that's actually a feint, and, you know, like that kind of thing of like, they just know what's going on.
Yeah, a guy just with so much more battle experience than any of the PCs, you know, of like a lot of people. who just knows what he's doing. Like, I think that
Yeah.
that kind of person really, and also someone like that who's just a lot more smart. It's like, oh, I'm running a pretty much like just a group of rogues, really, if we're going with our ideas. So he has to be someone who's really good at like wrangling them all in and knowing how to use their strengths. You know,
he has to be like both. They have to be like both very capable from a military point of view, probably quite persuasive, and probably a dangerous enough fighter that people don't think it's worth trying to usurp them.
Yeah.
Like, they have to be like smart and popular and dangerous individually.
Yeah.
So do you have any ideas?
Not really, because I think it could be like anything, really. It can be anyone.
Okay. I think it could be anyone. My suggestion is an Iron Dragonborn.
An Iron Dragonborn. Okay.
So for a long time, I've always thought of the idea of like, there's no Iron Dragon in the 5th edition Monster Manual. There isn't some previous ones.
Yeah.
But I always think of like iron is the metal of war. You know, like you make swords and armor out of iron, at least until you get steel. But like, for the most part, that's what it's kind of associated with.
Okay.
And so I really like the idea of like Iron Dragonborn. Iron Dragons and Iron Dragonborn are like, they're the dragon of war. So I think the leader of this group should be like an Iron Dragonborn, and maybe Iron Dragonborn are special and like they don't age or whatever, like they live forever or something like that. We can do some weird shit. But fundamentally, I just think the idea of like just a very like, I think I like unusual Dragonborn as a way to establish someone as a bit different. Like, immediately gonna go like, okay, they're Dragonborn, but not one from the player's handbook.
Yeah, maybe they were like, you don't have to go into detail. You can if you want, but maybe they're just like a bit like they could have been born of like some sort of like weird mutation. They could be born of some sort of like maybe like a pact with like almost kind of like a tiefling thing. Where they're born with some sort of pact. Whatever. You can go a lot of different ways with it, or there is just iron dragons in your world.
Or they could be like in the same notion that like the Bad Company started as like a rogue military group, like that had a military. Maybe this Dragonborn was the commander, like, for as long as the Bad Company have been around, and people don't know where they're from anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally like, it's lost. You know, the common people like do not know the name of the country, the name of the king that this person served, don't know what the original name of the like, you know, the military group was, don't know the name of the state, don't know why they're an Iron Dragonborn, don't know how they've lived so long. But they just are, like, they're just this like ever present, like they are the face of the organization. You know what I mean?
And actually, a Dragonborn is a really good fit, because I just like, you know, dragons are always really cool to have as like, we're just like stronger than like mortals, and as a Dragonborn,
superhuman almost.
Yeah, like I know as a Dragonborn, you'd be like, maybe you would be like, no, I am superhuman myself, and I believe I am just like, you know, I just feel like I'm better, really, basically, and maybe yes, they are, you know. Yeah, better.
But I also think stronger. But I also think one of the things that's so nice about it being a Dragonborn is that, like, dragons, at least, you know, good dragons or even neutral dragons in some situations, are like two things. They believe very strongly in like rules. And like they have you know, the dragons have like the Great Game, which is like the system all the dragons negotiate to battle with each other.
Yeah.
And they also love money. And like, that's why I think it's appropriate that they lead a military or a mercenary organization. Because like, I think rather than just being like, I think they should be rogue and criminal and like do things and take things as they want. But I think there should be like you know, codes of conduct. Like, once we take a contract, like we follow it through. And if we have a contract with someone, we're not allowed to act against them and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like, I think that kind of notion of like, despite all the chaos, they have rules. They have like a structure, a set of like virtues that they believe are right. But also they just want your money. I think that suits like dragons. You know what I mean? Like that, like they have this idea of like, I am a noble creature. I'm better. I'm more powerful. I'm above these other things. But also I love money.
We've got to have
money. I can't believe we referenced that, but we never like, you've never put a clip in. I've always wondered if you would.
Sorry, man. I don't know. I feel like we'll get sued by Tom and Jerry, the movie.
Tom and Jerry would come after you. They'd show up in your house, batter you with their big fucking hammer and mallet and all that.
Yeah. Maybe someday I'll just put it in. Be a bit sneaky. Quiet about it. Just like, here you go.
Just don't tell anyone. They're a pure martial fighter. They're like I think there's an NPC called the Commander in, I think, Volo's Guide to Monsters.
Yeah.
And I just use that as the basis. Just like super, like pretty high. I think they're like CR12. So like quite a high CR given that it's just one enemy. And then they've just got like a big sword and loads of attacks.
Yeah. Maybe a fire breath, with as a Dragonborn.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Like obviously they've got the Dragonborn powers too. They've probably got like they've probably got an upgraded version of it because I believe one of the common complaints about the Dragonborn breath weapon is that it falls off. It's not as useful later on.
And if you want, you can give him wings as well, but like maybe wears a big cloak and then he kind of like throws it off when it's time, when he's like, oh, he actually has wings. Shit, he can fly around, and that's why he's in a flying castle. Okay, makes sense. But,
oh God, I like that.
Yeah.
Why did I never put it together?
Shit.
Yeah, I really like that actually. That's a really good idea. Like what we could do is we could say, take the Commander from Volo's Guide to Monsters, take the Half Dragon template from the Dungeon Master's Guide, bing a bang a boom. That's most of the way there. And then give him magic sword and a fly speed and just some other weird shit. Just give him like he can stop time,
Yeah, legendary resistance. Just for
oh yeah, that too.
Become a good boss monster. You always need legendary resistance.
Agreed.
That's great. Yeah, I like him. He's cool.
Me too.
You really want someone like that, and yeah, with that, you can just kind of whatever weird ideas you have for like villains, you can just throw them into the bad company because anyone can be part of it. I think.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, like they will take anyone. They're almost like a foreign legion or something,
Yeah.
That's a cool idea that like they just take whoever. It's like doesn't matter who you were, like you just join, and you're just part of the bad company now.
Family.
Family. Abba father.
The best thing about the street fight? Street boys.
I fucking love those movies, man.
They're good movies. I like them.
So good. I think the only other thing I'd say is like it would probably be worth acknowledging, not necessarily the characters behind it, although that could be interesting, but I think more more just kind of making a note of like how does the bad company operate, because I think that kind of thing, like I think understanding their needs and their abilities will like give you a better idea of how to use them. So like they have a flying castle, so like what do they eat, what do they drink, and like what do they just train all day, what do they do with their downtime?
I feel like most of them would just kind of like, if you are making them that kind of way, most of them would just want to fight a lot of the time. So they would kind of wait for the next fight, and before that they're like, let's just like, have a good time, drink and party. We might need like a lot of food and just some booze maybe, and just kind of like training facilities on the castle and stuff. They're trained a lot maybe. Maybe some of them are like, I like to train. Other ones are just like, I just want to just sit around and just party. Drink a bit. Carouse.
I like the idea that maybe they have some facilities within the castle to grow food. Like maybe they've used some of the roofs of some of the castle as like farmland.
Oh yeah.
And like they collect rainwater like just to have a basic crop, but they probably still need a lot more food than they can create. So that's probably one of the main reasons they do stuff. Like I imagine the main thing they do is the show up, somewhere, and this is interesting. I'm just wondering, like, does the bad company show up in a village and just take everything, or do they buy it with the money they have?
Yeah, I think they would. I think they would just like maybe buy stuff. I
totally agree. I think like they show up in a village and they're just like, we want all your food.
If you're doing the other way, just make pirates, because bad company is a bit different.
Exactly.
I think. Just make pirates, make bandits, make stuff like that. These guys they're ex-criminals, but they're like a legitimate mercenary group. Yeah. So they would buy.
I always think the notion of like they're criminals in the sense that they defy like the state. So like the idea you had of like they steal an airship. I like the idea that they do things like that. Like, they like might steal high-tech equipment or like undermine certain things.
Yeah.
Or more realistically, they get a contract to like, you know, destroy this military outpost, and they're like, yeah, sure, and they don't care whose it is.
Yeah.
But like a village is like not a target unless they've been paid to destroy it.
Absolutely.
So it's just like we'll just go in and like we'll send a quartermaster down and a small squadron to carry stuff and for protection, and we'll just have a list of stuff we want.
Yeah, maybe the worst of it, it's like, oh, also like we're just gonna stay here and have a few drinks in the tavern. We're going to be rowdy, but here's like, you know, a bag of gold.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
The sort of the low-ranking fellas are a bit rowdy.
Yes.
And maybe that spills over into proper trouble.
And maybe that's a way that your PCs can kind of like can piss them off, because it's just like, these guys are idiots. I'm gonna like just like, hey guys, let's get out of here. You're acting like an idiot, and then you beat them up, and they go back to the rest of the guys like, these guys beat us up. Like, come on, man.
But I also like the idea of there being an amount of genre savviness, and like because of how the world of D&D works, if you piss off the wrong village, like 2 years later, a level 17 paladin is going to cut you in half.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not worth the trouble. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not worth it. Like,
they just know.
Like, why? Like, not necessarily everyone knows, but I think just someone has enough sense to just be like, no, it's not worth it. Like, it's we tried that for a while. It was infinitely more trouble than just paying some money for food.
Yeah, like, becomes someone's backstory, you know?
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So yeah, like if you do it the other way, they're just like, as you said, they're just bandits. So just kind of make them a bit more refined than just
they have an amount of decorum to them, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think if you surrender, they're like, okay, like they just capture you.
Yeah. And they're they're also very much like, maybe some of them are just like kind of almost like ex-knights in a way, where they're like, they would only really fight you if you have a sword, really. Like, you know, put up your sword.
Yeah,
come on, man. Like,
they throw a weapon to you and stuff like that. Like, pick up that blade and fight me.
Yeah. Of some of the higher ranking guys, maybe, you know.
And again, you could do that Metal Gear Solid thing where they're sent to assassinate somebody, but instead they just try to recruit them.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you need to, like, oh, my enemies have a very powerful warrior amongst their ranks, and I don't want to have to deal with them. And the bad company is like, oh yeah, we'll get rid of them, absolutely. But then they just capture them.
One of the guys
like,
boss, this guy is S rank, so bring him back to base.
Boss, use the rocket launcher.
No, don't use the rocket launcher. Boss is pretty cool. You can make things explode and shit. Or if they said kill him, like, all right, sure, and then like, yeah, we killed him, and then he's just in the back, just like,
yeah, he's just in the fucking castle, and like, what are they gonna do?
Exactly. Yeah.
And like, actually, a very cool bit of lore would be like, if you are taken by the bad company because you are marked for death, and they spare you and make you a soldier, you get like a tattoo, like a noose around your neck or something.
Yeah.
As like a reminder that, like, you know, we own your life. Like, we're the only reason you're still around. Like, any other mercenary company would have put you down, and we took you in instead.
Yeah.
I like that. And then it establishes that maybe there are certain, like, you know, those kind of people literally have nothing to lose, you know, like, because everyone else thinks they're dead, and they're supposed to be dead. So like, if like they can't go home, you know, like in the same way, or they can, and that's a great prompt for one of your adventurers if you do that bad company adventure, that one of them is actually one of those marked people.
Yeah,
they're supposed to be dead. They got picked up by the bad company, and now they're on the run. And you know, if the wrong people pick up that they're around, now they're being hunted by someone else too.
Yeah, they have a permanent mark showing that like oh, dude, like the bad company owned them.
Yeah, it's like oh, that's a really cool idea. Like, and then like other bounty hunters know if you have that mark, you have an outstanding bounty.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can just have
that's
hunters
cool.
just go like just checking you, or like they could kill certain guys, check them like, oh yeah, that guy's worth a lot more money, so put it over the shoulder. I like the idea of the energy of bad company being kind of like, if the player characters went wrong, you know, kind of like almost like they're just as weird.
Yes,
just kind of like they're just like they're even more of a motley crew, because with player characters it's always like strange mixes, because
weird eclectic bands. Yeah,
because your players want to play different cool races, and you kind of want the back company to be like that as well, you know.
I like that. Yeah. that they have the sort of Ginyu Force energy all the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like, who are these fucking people?
And of course, you want like you want to have like the top 5 be like there's the main guy, the Iron Dragonborn, and then he has his like 5 goons. That's just the best.
They've got like I'm just gonna go off the top of my head. They've got a high level rogue who's a spy master of some kind, and they're like into like gathering and assassinations. They've got a probably a barbarian who's like just like the heavy. It's like if someone's trouble, send in the heavy, and it's like whatever the problem was is gone. Like, you know, it's not subtle and it's not quiet, and it's everyone knows it's the bad company, but it's like, you know, it doesn't matter. Because like a barbarian is so tough with their rage ability. Like, again, I always like using the rules of D&D as part of the lore.
Yeah.
The idea of like, imagine like this Iron Dragonborn has command of a 17th level barbarian.
Yeah.
So someone with like close to 200 health who can just get resistance to everything.
Yeah.
And just literally ignore armies, like literally march into a fortress, ignoring arrows and spears and javelins.
Yeah.
And like, you know, knights running at this guy, and he just like cuts them in half, just ignores them, you know.
I love that idea, even especially for villains. I love that idea of just someone who loves a fight. Like, because you see that a lot with player characters, but just like a villain being like that, it's really cool. I love it.
And obviously, then they can do the fun thing where they're like the bloodthirsty barbarian, but then they spare the party because they're like, you'll be a better fight later.
Yeah.
And it's like,
good.
It's great because it's a get out of jail free card. You don't have to kill the party, but also you've given them stakes, and now they know that's your high watermark. You've got to be able to beat this guy.
Yeah.
And that's always badass.
A sniper. A really good.
A sniper would be so good.
Either if you have guns in your world, of course, give them a big rifle.
Yes,
but if you
big
don't,
gun,
just a great bow, just a really good with a bow, I think.
Oh yes, absolutely. I love that. Oh yeah, proper like sniper wolf. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Yes, absolutely.
Just going through all the archetypes.
And then I think they probably need someone who knows a bit about magic, but not too much. So I think that'll probably be like a bard, is what I get the impression, is like the thing I'm thinking.
Yeah, kind of like a scholarly kind of character who's like a bit the kind of the brains, but also the brains when it comes to arcane stuff, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So like you know, maybe a bard. This would be interesting. Maybe a bard who's like a logistician. So they're like the bard and the quartermaster. You know what I mean? So it's like almost like the idea of like they're the support, but they're not just the support, and they're like, I'm going to make everyone cheerful with the song. It's like, I'm going to make sure that my army marches. Like, I'm going to make sure everyone has enough swords, everyone has enough armor. Like, just like the really pragmatic side.
Yeah.
That idea of like the intersection of the magical and the mundane.
Yeah.
Like this character is that system. It's like, I am a bard. I'm the most magically capable person in the organization, but it's quartermaster. I'm also the reason that it runs as an army and not just a collection of dudes.
I like the idea of him writing the speeches as well for the leader of like this. Here you go. Here's one for today.
Oh, that's a really good idea. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because
the
like
speech
they've got the
it gives buffs, but almost like if you want to be gamey about it.
It's like literally a magical spell. It's like bardic inspiration,
but
like in a massive form. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Very cool. Okay, sorry. Bard, big barbarian, a spy master rogue, a sniper, long range fighter, basically. Just a fighter with a bow who's really good at being long range. So you can probably get shot from the sky when he's in the castle when you're trying to like fly up to him.
Oh God, yeah.
Or even when you're just on the ground, like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like before, like you see the castle, and before anything else happens, you start getting shot at. And it's like, you just have to like take cover or hide or turn invisible or do something.
Yeah.
Or you're going to get like picked off before you even reach the castle.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And I don't know, monk, maybe.
Ooh, yeah.
A monk.
Yeah. I agree. I think the monk would be the drill sergeant.
Ooh, yeah.
Like the taskmaster that makes sure everyone, because like, you know, monk, the idea is all about like discipline and self-control.
Yeah.
So they train everyone. Like they're the one that like makes everyone like, get up on time, do your training, and do your chores. Make sure everything's running properly.
And that's the reason why the regular bad company mook is better than like any other bandit group or any other mercenary group. Maybe he's the reason why all the regular soldiers are just a bit better. You know, like
yeah, exactly. Got the expertise and like the self-control, and like, you know, gives them both the kind of the martial training, but also like a little bit of mysticism, and that gives them like the edge.
Yeah,
you know, like almost like they can supernaturally focus for a moment,
Yeah.
kind of like how the monk has ki, but like not as specific, more like they don't have the same understanding, but they have that kind of idea of like I can grasp a bit of extra power.
Yeah, like on the stat block, they'll just be a bit stronger, but in the lore, they'll be like, oh, they're using,
Yes.
they know a little bit of the discipline and have a bit of key in them, whatever. Like you can probably say that,
Yeah.
like, oh, like let's say if you're playing a monk, like, oh, you can sense a bit of key.
Yeah.
coming off
Oh,
of this,
yes, that is perfect. Like you can tell that like they've been trained by someone like you, like the discipline, the way they fight,
Yeah.
is like how you fight. Like that kind of thing is very cool.
Very cool.
And yeah, that I love doing stuff like that. I love it when like people are like, because you are like, because of you have this experience, you can tell these things. I love doing things like that. So yeah, that's great. Like the idea of like if the party have a monk, it's like they were trained by either someone like me or they've got some kind of weird experience, but like there's something going on.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
that.
And it just kind of adds to like the mystery almost of what these guys are, and you can kind of go into
Yeah.
how they're, like how they became to be or how they work. Like it just adds to
Yes.
the like just a bit of, it just adds kind of like, ooh, learning more about them, and just leave it there. And you can add of course add whatever you want in there, but like just I think they're cool. I think they're kind of the martial archetypes. You got something?
Here I have exactly one thing, which is that because of everything we've established about Bad Company, here's the masterstroke, right? You got a party. They've just reached 7th level. They finished their first arc. You take you take the villain of the first arc and they join Bad Company.
Yes. You need that. I think so. Yeah.
Like you defeat, the Black Knight or whatever, or the pirate like master or the bandit captain, and you capture them and you bring them before the king, and the king goes like, yep, they're going in jail forever, man. They're not a problem anymore.
Yeah.
And then they go in jail, and then like, you find out through the grapevine, or maybe you're there for the scene where like Bad Company show up and they're like, we know you've got a powerful fighter in your dungeon and we want them.
Yeah.
And like the whoever's in charge isn't really in a position to refuse, because
maybe almost like just they throw a lot of money down even for a king.
Actually, yeah, that's a very good point. Again, returning
like,
to that idea of like they're not bandits. Yeah, like they're just like, look, we know you've got powerful fighters. We want them. Any price, name it. Like we can pay it.
Yeah.
And like even hey, you could, like, if you've got that previous arc with the bandit captain, you could tie it back into that, and you could say like, well, the damage they dealt to the infrastructure, like we need to repair that, and the money we get might help us do that. And so there's like a motivation, like a sympathetic motivation for the leaders, the kind of the bureaucrats and the rulers and the leaders. Like this is why they're considering this offer. It's not just because they're corrupt and evil or incompetent. It's because actually, your previous adventures had a mark on the world, and now there are very kind of real consequences that have to be considered. And like you're adventurers, so you don't have to think like that. But these people aren't adventurers,
Yeah.
Like the mayor has to answer to like, why aren't the crops being collected? That kind of thing.
I think
so. Like when
oh, sorry, continue. Finish your point. Sorry.
I was just going to say, so when someone shows up and says a bag of money for your most dangerous criminals and you'll never see them again, it's like kind of a hard offer to refuse,
Yeah, that's very cool. And also just like, I think just as a player, putting all your effort and energy to fight this villain, and then they come back later, part of like a rogues gallery, but they're only one of them, like, that must mean that they're stronger or they're just as strong as the guy we fought before. Oh shit. It's very like, it's very power levels, I love it.
it's power levels, but also there's the whole like we worked our fucking asses off capturing this guy, and these assholes just came in and just paid it off like it was nothing, and now these people have recruited the villain, and now they're villains, by association. So the party immediately have like something out for them.
And if you have this idea in your head to do Bad Company and do this specific idea, make sure that first villain, whatever villain you want, make sure whoever like has the bounty on them or something, like the king says, I want them alive because they did me wrong.
Yeah.
I want to make sure they're alive and give them to me. Just make sure it's alive, because not every single player wants to like my character's always just punch the evil out of people and that's it. Like I don't want to kill myself, but a lot of players are just like, whatever, I kill them and that's fine. But make sure they don't kill him. Just find a way that they don't kill him. I'll say that, so they can come back alive later.
Or do the you kill them and then they show up anyway, and then it's just like, the Patriots gave me a new body.
What?
And then they punch you and they gone. And they
How
kick
do you
your
come
butt.
back? You can just write it later why they came back. You don't have to worry about that. They came back. That's it. Like,
yeah, it doesn't. It's actually not important.
yeah.
It's not as interesting as the fact that they came back.
Yeah. They come back, and then it's a cliffhanger. They returned, and then you're like, "Oh, I'm going on holiday, so I'll see you guys in 2 weeks." And then while you're there in fucking Italy or something, you're just, shit. How did he come back? I have to write this, man.
You're just like, you're supposed to be on holiday. You're supposed to be fucking like, visiting Pompeii, just sweating bullets, trying to like write your plot arc. Oh, fuck me.
Oh man, I think that's a villain squad. I think we have one, another one in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Let's leave it there. Daniel.
I agree.
I
think so.
Let's forget we ever talked about this.
That's what happens to all our previous villain squads. We talk about it and then we forget instantly.
Yeah, actually, no. Thinking about them, I'm like, when I think about them, like, I remember General Winter. I remember the gelatinous cube cult. I think.
Oh, the cult. They were good.
That was like that was a random generated one though. I think that me and Tim did, and it was just like. We just like
that was great.
We lost our minds and we're like, this is actually a great idea though. This is so good.
It was so good. I loved the big cube, and then Steven made the really funny tweet about it, and I laughed so hard
it was because one of the guys was like, after we talked about the gelatinous cube, and it was a gelatinous cube, and they had a cult, and then everyone fit perfectly to be like, they were almost like a warlock or a paladin of some sort. They all like connected to this cube.
They were all like religious characters.
And the last guy was just a rogue, and then like but he's in the squad though.
yeah. They were literally like, I think they were like a rogue. They were like an assassin or like a inquisitive or something. Like they were something totally not to do with religion.
Yeah.
And it's just like the idea of like, they're just like, what the fuck have I gotten myself into?
And the tweet was basically like,
so
all hail the gelatinous cube, our great savior, the gelatinous cube. And then like the guy who's literally just a rogue, what the hell did I get myself into?
just like why am I here?
And then other ones, they're good, but I don't remember them right now. I just have to look at the names.
We did one on criminal organization. I think we did one on an assassin's guild.
I like the criminal organization one, because that's one where we talked about the artificial
the god jar.
God jar.
That was,
yes.
The god jar was peak. Creature Club have done it again, boys. They've gone off the rails.
Yeah, they have got like maybe a bit too high concept, but like it was something.
It was great.
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
An Order of Knights.
Oh, and they rode on gargantuan elephants. I think we made
yes.
that.
Oh god, yeah, that was it. Yeah, they were all like, they all had like different gigantic like special mounts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and one of them like a rock on some of them. Oh, that was a cool idea. How come I don't remember that one? And then.
Why don't we ever use these? What's wrong with us?
Yeah, because like I know some people would be like, "That's Creature Club." Like, no, it's not. Oh, it's a Creature Club, man. One of them was like a rival parties one that was like 2 hours long. That I remember. Like,
oh Jesus!
How did we do that? Like,
oh fucking hell! Yeah, it was. I think it was literally like, I think you said it won't take that long to go through all the classes in the player's handbook, and it took 2 hours.
And other times where that's happened, we like put it into 2 episodes, but this one we're just like, nah, just uncut.
Yeah.
Like feature length movie and a bit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Stick it on and just get to work. Just do something else.
Oh, Monster Mash for Halloween.
Oh yes, the Monster Mash.
Did all the classic monsters, Universal monsters. That's cool stuff. All right, Daniel, let's leave it there because that's been an episode. That's been a good episode. So guys, thank you so much for listening to Villain Squad. We like doing this. Hopefully we'll be back with more episodes of stuff. Hopefully Tim will be back soon, but we shall see. Once again, send Tim some good vibes at TimAssistMusic on Twitter to make sure you know that you miss him and you want him back ASAP. And just send some good energy his way because he's working super hard, but he's enjoying his work. Yeah, so if you guys like what you listen to and you want to let us know, first of all, the first thing you should do, if this is the first time you listen to it, is give us a follow on whatever app you use, because you can listen to future episodes and you can be let known what episodes are coming out, and you can go on to www.creatureclubpodcast.com for our website, where you can find our episodes there. Also, we have a contact us form there where you can send us on queries, comments. Just let us know that you're there. And also, you can send us on some homebrew monsters if you so wish, because we like to compile them together and make a audience mailbag homebrew special at some point.
We do.
So we need as many of those as we can get from you guys, if you so want to do that. And then we put them into a fun, free document on DM's Guild when that comes out. So if you want to be part of that, please let us know and send us on your monsters. Or whatever homebrews you got.
Yeah. And did you mention the email address? Sorry.
I did not. That's creatureclubpodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us on there. If you just want to skip the entire Contact Us form, you can just go with that as well. There's @CreatureClubPod, or if you just look up Creature Club Podcast, you'll see us there on Twitter. So if you send us a comment there, we'll probably all see it. We'll just all see it there easily.
You can comment normally. A good way to, if you have any questions, a good thing to do is actually, when an episode comes out, ask below the episode, like reply to that. And it doesn't even have to be about the episode. If you're like, hey, when you talked about the Monster Mash, you forgot the Mummy 2 or Frankenstein's Bride.
Yeah,
like that's, you'll catch us.
Forgot Brendan Fraser from the Mummy 2.
The Mummy, I was just thinking about this recently. Those were such fun movies.
Yeah, the Mummy 1 is good, and the Mummy 2 is not as good, but it's fun. It's
yeah. The Mummy 1's good. Mummy 2 is not as good, but it's fun. I can't remember a thing about Mummy 3.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's not very good.
But like the Mummy 1 was so much fun,
yeah.
And I feel like we don't get a movie like that anymore. Like a fun adventure romp. Like I feel like we haven't had those
very
in a while.
Good D&D film as well, I think. Very good D&D.
Yeah. Proper, like, gives you a little party of it. Like you got the sort of the fighter / protagonist, and like the kind of bookish lady friend, and the roguish sort of cousin, like who's kind of a bit more shifty and like a bit more cowardly, but like they've got a good heart.
Yeah,
got a good heart.
And they get into a lot of supernatural adventures. It's fun. Good.
And they shoot things with like guns. Like they see a mummy and they just shoot it. And I just think that's really fun. It's like,
yeah,
I love. I've been playing Death Stranding recently.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really like about it, like the writing's a bit weird overall, but one of the things I really like is how the world is like fucked. It's like this weird supernatural nightmare, but everyone's just trying to deal with it, like in the way, like in scientific ways, because like it's the only way humans can like rationalize things.
Yeah.
So it's like there's these horrible ghosts from another dimension. It's like, all right, I'll throw a grenade at it. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I just love that idea of like, it's like, imagine like you fucking saw Casper and you just like tried to smoke bomb him. You know what I mean?
Because but honestly, like if you lived in that world, you'd be like, how do we fight back at these things? All right, use some sort of weird grenade made out of my blood because my blood is special. Like,
cool, great.
Cool. I'm gonna take a piss right now. Yeah, and also it's just like if you like Indiana Jones, you like the Mummy 1.
Yes,
it's a good Indiana Jones film. I think
it is. It is good. I remember when we were ending this podcast. I'm very sorry. I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah, sometimes.
What have I done?
I mentioned this before, but like we've just stopped doing. We just stopped caring about doing a coherent podcast now, you know?
It is not, the plan is no longer produce a coherent podcast. The plan is stick the mics on and just have a small amount of alcohol and talk. And just see what happens.
Absolutely.
You had some red wine, Mikey.
I did, yeah.
And I had some Tenora with rum in it. It turns out if you fill a... Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, sorry, that I was making ragu.
You were?
And I needed, for authentic ragu, you got to put a bit of red wine in it. So I bought a bottle of red wine because I didn't have any red wine in the house. And I was like, ooh, there's a little bit, the bottle's opening. Okay, I might as well have a glass.
Absolutely. Have a wee glass. Yeah, why not? I made myself and my roommate some leek soup for dinner. Making a lot of soups. It turns out soups are very easy to make. And they're really nice. It's a good season for soups. But the thing I was going to say was I had Tenora and rum, and I literally I filled a pint glass with Tenora, and I just sort of looked at it and I thought, like, what's my life coming to?
I'll throw a splash of rum on this. Make an adult drink.
Yeah. Oh, now it's all fine.
Now it's a party.
Like it was just funny because like I poured myself. I was just thinking like, Imagine I just walked out of this room and just someone else, like an older adult, stopped me and said, "I'm sorry, you can't drink that. I'm taking that away from you." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, no, you're just allowed to drink a pint of Tenora. Like, no one's going to stop you.
Absolutely.
Somehow.
It's great. You can have
But
ice cream for
it
dinner.
is.
That's fine.
I can have ice cream. Oh, I've got ice cream in the freezer. I think I'll have ice cream after this.
Sounds good. I got to make dinner as well. I made the ragu, but I haven't eaten it yet. So I got to eat that right now.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Has it been stewing at simmering at a nice low temperature?
I've had it on one, and it's been on one for a while now. It's been on one for the entire podcast, I think. So I'm gonna.
Oh my god, that's going to be fierce, man!
I can't wait for it.
I'm excited for you.
If you guys want to know how I had the ragu was, just follow us at
actually
Pod.
Actually, yeah, I am actually going to hold you to that, Mikey. I want to follow up on the ragu, maybe after this episode airs for obvious reasons.
And if you follow us on at Critical Pod, send a message saying how is the ragu, I will answer you
there
back.
You go.
Also at Mikey DC it's Mikey DC or at Mike Telime. That's me. It's my own personal Twitter. So follow that if you want ragu.
Yeah, just for
chats.
ragu updates. Yeah,
ragu updates. Yeah. I'll be there. Let's end this show before they cancel us.
Sorry. The last thing I was going to say was just the ice cream is Haagen-Dazs strawberry cheesecake because it was on sale.
Right. So, folks, thank you so much for listening to Villain Squad or Creature Club Presents Villain Squad. Next week will be something else. I have been Mikey.
And I've been Dan.
And stay evil.
Oh, I like that. No, stop. That's too scary. I don't like that.